So, the noise you can hear in the background are frogs and toads as I live near some water. But I'm just here cooking dinner and have basically left my job. I have broken my lease. I have sold my business and I am living in the country. And the reason I'm doing this is because I was forced to inject a concoction into my body by people who don't know me and people that wanted to exercise authority over me. And the reason they were forcing me was to go to work. I had to get this injection to go to work, to cross the border, to enter establishments, to even work for the company. So I understand why many people have gone ahead and done this, because they weren't prepared and perhaps didn't have good luck, so to speak, or really what it is the favour of God to do anything about it. Whereas I was fortunate to have, through certain circumstances, I have been able to stop work and do other work that doesn't require the use of a vaccine or the force by the company. And it's a big step, but sooner or later, most people who, are seeking the truth will probably have to come to a similar decision or a similar circumstance. And so I've proceeded to withdraw from the things that they require a vaccine for. The need to go to these places that are forcing people to take vaccines. And it may even come down to supermarkets and things like this. So I'm preparing to even not have to go to a supermarket to get food. Right now, it would be tough, but I could do it even now. But we just need to increase this situation. So a lot of people have been asking me, how do you become free? Because I've been speaking to different people, and I can find a lot of people that want to be free, but I can't find a lot of people who would do what it takes to be free. And in the natural law of the universe, of cause and effect, the way you become free is by setting others free, by setting other people free from yourself. And when you're in a system of covetous practices where, you submit to the state, who then goes to your neighbour and forces them to pay, to contribute to your welfare, if you're in a state of covetousness, which is what that is, you have your neighbour in bondage to you. And you are in bondage to them also. They have you in bondage because they're submitting to the same government that is forcing you to pay. So they can retire or send their kids to school or, whatever they take in benefits. And most all people are taking some sort of a benefit, whether it be Medicare or, just the participation in the commercial system itself is a benefit. So basically, if you have a number, a tax file number, a SIN number, an SSN, that is your badge of servitude, that is your mark, that is your identification number in that system, and it proves your participation. And within that participation, part of the deal is that you get to force your neighbour to contribute to your welfare. So your neighbour really isn't free from you. And to become free yourself, you have to set them free. But how do you survive if your neighbour isn't supporting you with their tax dollars and allowing you to get free medical and free education and a pension and all that stuff? How do you survive if that isn't there? If you stop forcing your neighbour to contribute to your welfare? Because that's what you have to do to become free. Because to become free, you need to set others free of yourself. And so, logically, there would have to be another system, let's say, another way to look after the needy of the people who would not like to force their neighbour anymore. So, let's say there was 100 people who wanted to set other people free for themselves. Amongst those, there's going to be needs. There's going to be elderly. There's going to be sick people, people that have had accidents, whatever. And they're going to need help, but they can't go to the state anymore because they don't want to go to the state, because they know that if you go to the state for your benefits, you are not setting other people free. And if you're not setting other people free, well, then you won't be free, because you might get to force them to pay, but they get to force you to pay. It is just the natural law of things. So what to do then? Well, you need to set up a system of charity. So the basic needs of that society will be looked after before anything else. That is the priority. You see, you can have everything else, but if you don't have charity, you have nothing. Because what are you going to do? Are you going to leave people just to die in the street or kick them to the curb or whatever? No, you're not. You're going to have some charity. You're going to have love. That's what it's built upon. If there's no charity, there's nothing else. And so that's the first step. So to form into a network of charity, you need to congregate and you need to network with other congregations. And this is most effectively and efficiently done through a minister who has communication connection. So the first step is to elect a minister and a volunteer, a servant, who says to you, I will serve you and I will, help you with your health, your education, your welfare, if need be, and I will forward your sacrifices, your donations, your free will offerings, so that others in the network can be looked after with their basic needs of health, education and welfare. Because you might not know everyone else out there. You may not know their individual needs, their intimate, requests or anything like that. That is to do with their congregation. But the minister who's talking to the minister of their congregation could get word of what's going on and could tell other people, in fact, the congregation. So this is how it has to operate on a very, very basic, fundamental, first base kind of a way. So you need to congregate. You need to sit down in the tens, which is a congregation of 10, with a minister. And then the minister sits down in a congregation of 10 ministers. And then the ministers of ministers sit down in congregations of 10. And there you have the tens, hundreds and thousands, which was the predominant form of government and society, structure of society throughout history. That was the predominant structure. And so we don't hear about this in the history books and the history class, because that's what they hide when they hide things like the Dark Ages. There's nothing to see here. When Rome fell, the Roman Empire, people couldn't go to the temples to get their bread and free bread and circuses. That was all gone. So what did the people do? They congregated in the tens, hundreds and thousands, the same way Rome did before it was the Roman Empire, the same way that Israel did before it was taken into captivity by the Babylonians because they rejected God when they elected a king, King Saul. And the prophet Samuel said, you have rejected God by calling for a king, calling for a ruler, because for 400 years they were living free, in a free society, with free will offerings, no forced tax. But then when King Saul and then King David became kings, then they started to tax the people. They started to need to pay for standing armies and things like this. And by the time a couple of generations went by with Solomon and his descendants, there was only about 4 or 5 generations, and they were back into bondage. And so we are in the same situation today where we are a part of this empire that is falling, and we need to follow the pattern of what people do when the system fails. And it is failing, and it's failing more and more quickly. But it's been failing for a long time. But the people in all instances of empires that fell did the same thing. They came together, they looked after the basic needs of one another, and they prospered. They survived and they thrived. And for long periods of time, hundreds and hundreds of years. And that's the stage we're at now. So, if you want to congregate in that fashion and find other congregations, go to Preparing You. That's Preparing you, all one word, .com, and go to the left there. You'll see the drop-down section there, the toolbar, and you'll see a section called Books. Click on that and read all the books there, listen to the audios there, and then join the network. And when you join the network, we put you in touch with people that are close to you as much as possible. You can congregate over the phone if you have to, but there'll be a geographical aspect to it where we want to get people as close to you as possible. But the people on that congregation will be in congregation with the other congregation. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you will be in touch with the wider network, the living network. Okay, so go to Preparing You. I'll see you there. And until next time, peace.